There comes a time in every chosen one's life when silence becomes the most powerful sermon you can ever preach. A time when you will stand in a room full of people and realize that your spirit speaks a language their hearts cannot translate. You will pour out pieces of your soul, and they will call it madness. You will share visions that were birthed in the secret chambers of prayer, and they will name it delusion. But listen to me. Your call was not written for their comprehension. Your mission was not assigned for their approval. You were not selected by human hands, you were set apart by divine ones. And when heaven chooses you, the earth may never understand why. You must learn, chosen one, that explaining yourself to those who have never wrestled with destiny is like describing fire to water. It will never make sense. They were not there when you cried yourself to sleep, begging God for answers. They did not hear the whisper that called your name when you stood at the edge of giving up. They did not feel the trembling in your bones when God said, "Move," and everything in your life screamed, "Stay." So stop waiting for validation from people who were never anointed to understand you. Stop wasting your breath trying to convince doubters that your vision is real. They are blind to what you see because they are not meant to walk where you're going. There is a holy loneliness that comes with being chosen. It is the kind of solitude that shakes your spirit but also awakens your soul. You will lose friends not because you did something wrong, but because light makes darkness uncomfortable. Your growth will offend the stagnant. Your peace will confuse the troubled. Your faith will agitate those who build their lives on fear. You will be misunderstood, misjudged, and mislabeled. But that's what happens when God hides greatness inside a human body. The world can only recognize what it's familiar with, and what you carry is not common. So let them talk, let them mock, let them assume. You were not chosen to be understood, you were chosen to be effective. The moment you start explaining yourself to those who cannot hear from the same spirit that guides you, you begin to dim your own light just to fit in their shadow. Do not do it. Do not reduce the volume of your calling so that small minds can tolerate your sound. You were never created to fit, you were created to stand out. The chosen ones do not blend in with the crowd, they disrupt the pattern. You were designed to carry the thunder of divine purpose in your voice, to shake the ground of ordinary expectations, to challenge the limits that life tried to put on you. When they question why you walk differently, tell them your steps are ordered. When they ask why you speak with such fire, tell them it's because heaven placed truth on your tongue. But do not explain your calling, demonstrate it. Let your life become your language. Every chosen one learns that understanding is a gift not everyone is ready to give. People see your blessings but never the breaking that built them. They see your strength but not the storms that shaped it. They see your peace but not the war you fought to earn it. If they could see what you've survived, they'd understand why you move the way you do. But they weren't there. They didn't see the nights you spent crying into the darkness, pleading with God to make sense of the pain. They didn't hear the silence that became your teacher. They didn't feel the rejection that turned into redirection. So when they look at you now and misunderstand your silence, let them. You owe no one an explanation for the way God has transformed your wounds into wisdom. You must learn to be still in the face of misunderstanding. You must learn to let your fruit speak when your words cannot. When they accuse you falsely, when they twist your kindness, when they question your motives, just breathe. Let time reveal what truth will not rush to prove. The chosen ones do not fight to be seen, they live to be aligned. And when you are aligned with heaven, no earthly opinion can derail your destiny. Let them talk in circles while you walk in purpose. Let them gossip while you grow. Let them question while you keep climbing. Because sooner or later, the same mouths that doubted you will have to testify of the God who carried you. The art of not explaining yourself is not arrogance. It is wisdom. It is understanding that your energy is sacred and your time is holy. Every moment spent trying to convince someone who is committed to misunderstanding you is a moment stolen from your purpose. You cannot plant seeds in concrete and expect them to grow. Some people are not soil, they are stone. They were never meant to nurture your vision. They were sent to test your focus. Will you keep pouring into dry ground, or will you finally let go and trust that God will lead you to fertile fields? Chosen one, protect your peace. Guard your spirit. You are not called to everyone. You are called to those who recognize the oil on your life. Remember when Joseph told his brothers about his dream, they didn't celebrate him. They envied him. They couldn't see that his vision was not a boast but a prophecy. They couldn't understand that his calling didn't make him better. It made him responsible. Yet, even in betrayal, Joseph never stopped believing. Even in prison he didn't explain his innocence to win favor. He let God's plan speak for him. And when the time came, the same brothers who misunderstood his dream bowed before the man that dream created. That's what happens when you stop explaining and start walking. God will turn your silence into revelation. Some people will only understand you when your manifestation speaks louder than your explanation. So wait. Endure the loneliness of being unseen. Embrace the seasons when your voice echoes back unanswered. Trust that while they mock you in public, God is preparing your promotion in private. Every chosen one must walk through obscurity before destiny reveals itself. The silence, the rejection, the confusion, it's not punishment, it's preparation. God hides you not to humiliate you but to cultivate you. Because when your time comes, no explanation will be necessary. Your results will speak the language of heaven. Do not chase after those who walked away when they couldn't comprehend your journey. Their absence was God's protection. If they had stayed, they would have drowned out your faith with their doubt. They would have tried to make sense of what was never meant to be logical. Faith doesn't need permission to move, it just needs obedience. The chosen ones understand that. You have to trust what you heard in the quiet more than what they say in the noise. When you walk with divine purpose, even your confusion is holy. God is not asking you to explain, He's asking you to endure. The misunderstood become the miracle workers. The rejected become the revolutionaries. The silenced become the storytellers of God's glory. Every wound becomes a window through which His light shines. So stop apologizing for your anointing. Stop explaining your peace to those who profit from chaos. Stop justifying your distance to those who confuse boundaries with pride. You're not distant, you're focused. You're not cold, you're healing. You're not proud, you're protecting your oil. And not everyone deserves access to the oil that cost you your nights of tears. Chosen one, you must learn that there is a sacred dignity in walking away quietly. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to post your pain online. You don't have to defend what God has already declared. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you reclaim your power. Let your stillness be your statement. Let your progress be your proof. Let your peace be your response. Because when God elevates you, He will do it in such a way that no one can deny it. Even those who never understood you. You will know you've grown when misunderstanding no longer moves you. When you can smile at the lies, breathe through the betrayal and keep building anyway. When you no longer need applause to affirm your worth. When you stop begging people to see what God already confirmed. Growth will make you quieter. Wisdom will make you gentler. But the fire within you will burn brighter than ever. You will stop explaining not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that divine purpose needs no translation. Sometimes God blinds people to your value because their hands are not holy enough to handle it. You are a masterpiece painted by a divine artist, and not every eye is trained to see beauty in process. They saw the clay when God was still molding you, and they judged you before you were finished. But you, chosen one, you must keep standing in your becoming. You must keep trusting that every misunderstanding is molding you into someone even more radiant. One day they will see. One day they will understand. But that day is not today, and that's okay. You are not responsible for their revelation, you are responsible for your obedience. When you stop explaining, you make space for God to reveal. When you stop defending, you allow Him to vindicate. When you stop chasing, you allow what's meant for you to find you. The chosen life is not about convincing, it's about surrendering. You must surrender the need to be liked, understood, and accepted. You must surrender the desire to be explained and instead let your anointing do the talking. Because what is birthed in the Spirit cannot be explained in flesh. The human mind cannot comprehend what divine hands have orchestrated. So stand tall in your silence. Walk boldly in your mystery. Live loudly through your purpose. Those who are meant to walk beside you will understand without you saying a word. Their spirit will recognize yours. Their light will respond to your flame. The rest, let them talk, let them wonder, let them question. You have mountains to move and oceans to cross. You don't have time to explain why you were called to walk on water while they're still afraid to leave the boat. Chosen one, there is a rhythm to your rising. It is not for everyone to dance to. Some will call you strange because your beat is not their own. Some will call you stubborn because you refuse to bend where they bowed. But the truth is, you've learned how to listen to God's rhythm, and once your soul finds that frequency, the world's noise no longer distracts you. You've been tuned by heaven, let no earthly tune pull you out of key. In the end, you will look back and realize that every misunderstanding was necessary. Every rejection refined your focus. Every betrayal built your discernment. Every silence deepened your faith. And every season of loneliness pushed you closer to the one who chose you in the first place. You will see that you were never meant to be understood by many, only by God. And that will be enough, because the same God who anointed you in private will announce you in His time, and no explanation will ever be needed. So go on, chosen one. Walk with your head high and your spirit steady. Speak only when heaven prompts you and stay silent when the world demands an answer. You owe no one an explanation for your obedience, your peace, or your power. Let your life testify of the grace that carried you. Let your scars sing the song of survival. Let your silence preach louder than your words ever could. Because those who couldn't understand you when you were hidden will stand in awe when God reveals what He was building in you all along. And when that day comes, when the light shines and your name echoes in places you once only dreamed of, you won't need to explain how you made it. Your peace will tell the story. Your presence will declare the victory. Your spirit will radiate the truth, that you were never trying to be understood, only to be faithful. And that faithfulness, chosen one, is what heaven calls beautiful. So rest in that truth. You don't owe them an explanation, you owe God your obedience. Walk in that freedom, shine in that grace. And remember, those who were never meant to understand you were only there to teach you how to listen more deeply to the one who always did. And as you walk further down this sacred road, you will begin to see that the silence you once feared has become your closest companion. You will realize that it is in the quiet where heaven whispers its greatest secrets, and in the stillness where God paints His clearest pictures. You will stop explaining, not because you have run out of words, but because you have found something greater. Peace that cannot be described, only lived. You will start to understand that the chosen are not chosen for comfort, they are chosen for transformation. And transformation is not meant to be understood, it is meant to be endured. Every misunderstanding becomes a cocoon, every silence a season of divine weaving. While they talk, heaven works. While they doubt, God builds. And you, chosen one, must learn to rest even when you cannot be read. The ones who are truly called by heaven are often the ones who look misplaced on earth. You may feel like an exile, wandering through seasons of confusion and isolation, trying to find language for something that has no human vocabulary. You may try to explain the way God moves through you, but every time you speak it, the words feel smaller than the experience. So you stop explaining, not because you don't want to be known, but because you realize what you carry is too vast for shallow understanding. You are a mystery wrapped in divine fire, and mysteries are not meant to be explained. They are meant to be lived through. The world may not understand how you rise after every fall, how you forgive what tried to destroy you, how you keep smiling when you should be bitter. But that's the beauty of divine anointing. It makes no sense, yet it changes everything. People will call you distant when you are actually being directed. They will call you strange when you are simply spirit-led. They will call you cold when you are conserving your fire. But you must not waste your voice trying to correct their perception. For every explanation you offer, there will be another question, another assumption, another layer of misunderstanding. You cannot reason your way into someone's revelation. Let them believe what they must and keep walking. The chosen walk by faith, not approval. The chosen walk with purpose, not popularity. And one day, when the pieces align, the same ones who couldn't comprehend your silence will see that your stillness was not weakness. It was wisdom. There will be moments when your heart aches to be seen, when your spirit longs for someone to just understand just once. You'll want to scream, "I'm not what you think I am." but instead a quiet strength will rise within you. You'll remember that your worth does not depend on being understood. It depends on being true. True to your calling. True to your Creator. True to the whisper that started it all. You will begin to love your misunderstood self because you'll realize that the misunderstanding kept you pure. It protected you from counterfeit connections. It separated you from distractions. It kept you hidden until you were ready to carry the weight of your destiny. So when you feel unseen, thank God. He is shielding you from eyes that cannot handle your light. And one day, you will stop seeking understanding from people altogether. You will realize that every time you tried to explain, you were giving pieces of your peace to those who didn't value it. You will begin to protect your silence as if it were gold, because you will finally know that silence is where strength lives. You will start to speak less and observe more, love deeper and expect less, pray harder and justify never. You will no longer chase after conversations that drain your spirit. You will no longer try to prove the purity of your intentions. You will simply live, breathe, and become what you were always meant to be. An embodiment of purpose. Chosen one, there will come a night when you'll sit alone under the sky, feeling the wind brush your face, and you'll whisper to God, "Why me?" And in that moment His answer will not come in thunder or in voice, but in peace. A peace that says, "Because I trusted you with what others could not carry." And you will weep, not from sorrow, but from understanding that every season of being misunderstood was heaven's way of keeping you on course. You will understand that the rejection was redirection, the silence was protection, and the loneliness was preparation. God never needed them to understand you, He only needed you to obey. You are not called to convince the world that your flame is real. You are called to keep it burning even when the world looks away. You are called to carry light into dark places, and light does not explain, it reveals. Every room you walk into shifts because your presence carries something beyond explanation. You are the evidence of divine craftsmanship. You are the living proof that God can take confusion and turn it into clarity, that He can take pain and birth purpose, that He can take isolation and make it holy ground. Every step you take in silence sends ripples through eternity. You are not behind, you are being prepared. You are not misunderstood, you are being molded. There will be days when your silence will be mocked. They will say you've changed, that you've become cold, that you've lost your fire. But what they do not see is that you have learned how to control the flame. You no longer burn wildly. You burn wisely. You no longer spill your oil where it's wasted. You pour it where it's honored. You no longer fight for attention. You rest in anointing. And that chosen one is growth. The moment you stop explaining, you step into divine maturity. You no longer need to convince people to stay, because you finally understand that those who are meant to walk with you will not need an explanation to do so. They will simply understand by spirit. When you rise from your silence, you will notice something else. You will attract a different kind of energy. People who understand peace without words. People who recognize the language of purpose through action. People whose spirits resonate with yours even when you say nothing. These are your tribe. They won't need you to explain why you've been quiet, why you've been distant, why you've been selective. They'll just know. They'll know that silence is sacred. They'll know that your solitude was your schooling. They'll know that your fire was being refined, not extinguished. When you meet them, you'll exhale and realize that divine understanding was always waiting on the other side of surrender. But until that moment, you must remain faithful in the unseen. You must keep walking even when your steps echo back in emptiness. You must keep believing even when no one else does. Because understanding is not your goal, alignment is. And when you are aligned with heaven, the misunderstandings of earth lose their power. You will stop explaining not because you've given up, but because you've grown up. You've grown into grace. You've grown into discernment. You've grown into that holy confidence that whispers, "I don't need them to understand, I just need to stay obedient." The truth is, explaining yourself to those who cannot understand you is like trying to light a candle in the wind. It flickers, fades, and leaves you weary. But when you guard your flame and protect your peace, it burns steady, it glows brighter, it warms even your coldest nights. Let them think what they want, your peace is proof enough. Let them talk in circles, your purpose moves in straight lines. Let them doubt. Your destiny will speak soon enough. And when it does, when everything God promised begins to bloom in your life, you will stand in awe, not of your strength, but of His faithfulness. You will look back at the moments when you felt misunderstood and realize that they were the very moments He was molding you for this. You will see how every unanswered question was guiding you, how every closed door was protecting you, how every season of silence was preparing you. You will finally understand that explaining yourself was never your assignment. Trusting God was. So breathe, chosen one. Let the weight of misunderstanding fall off your shoulders. You don't need to carry their confusion. You don't need to defend what heaven has already declared. The same God who called you out of the crowd will vindicate you before it. The same God who whispered your name in the dark will announce it in the light. You just keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep glowing quietly, because your silence, your grace, and your persistence will tell the story words never could. And when that story is told, the world will see what you always knew deep down, that you were never trying to be understood, only to be faithful. And in that faithfulness you will find freedom. In that freedom you will find peace. And in that peace you will finally find yourself. So go, chosen one. Walk your path unshaken. Carry your purpose unapologetically. Speak only when heaven moves you. Rest when the world misreads you. And remember, those who cannot understand your silence were never meant to comprehend your song. You are the melody of divine purpose, the echo of eternal promise, and the proof that God's masterpiece does not need explanation. It simply shines. And when the days turn long and the road stretches before you like an endless whisper, you will begin to understand the holy art of patience, the sacred rhythm of divine timing. You will look back at the moments when you wanted to shout your truth into deaf ears, and you will thank God you didn't. Because in your restraint He was refining you. In your silence He was shaping your sound. He was teaching you how to let your presence preach louder than your pain. He was teaching you that every seed of destiny must first be buried in obscurity before it blooms in brilliance. You thought your silence was punishment, but it was protection. You thought your stillness was delay, but it was development. You thought their misunderstanding meant you were alone, but heaven was standing guard, shielding you from premature exposure. Because what is divine cannot be rushed. And so, chosen one, you must stop mourning the moments where you were not seen. You must stop explaining the process when the product is not yet complete. There is a reason the sculptor does not invite an audience while he carves. Because the chisel looks violent to those who do not know creation. People would have called it destruction when it was actually transformation. You too have been carved, chipped, and reshaped by unseen hands. The blows that broke you were blessings in disguise. The pain that confused you was preparing your perfection. And when the world finally sees the masterpiece that you are becoming, they will stand silent. Because beauty needs no explanation. There will come a time when the same people who mocked your silence will envy your peace. They will look upon the life that once looked lifeless, and wonder how you resurrected yourself from the ashes. But you will know the truth. It wasn't you. It was the one who breathed over your bones while no one was watching. It was the one who stood beside you when everyone else left. It was the one who spoke to your spirit when your mind had nothing left to say. You will remember those nights you wanted to explain your heart to those who kept wounding it, and you will be grateful that God held your tongue. Because if you had defended yourself then, you might have forfeited the dignity that silence was building within you. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to awaken those who are ready to listen. There is a difference between being liked and being aligned. The crowd will applaud your charisma, but heaven will only anoint your character. And character is built in seasons where your name is misunderstood, where your motives are questioned, where your heart is tested. You cannot be truly anointed until you've been falsely accused. You cannot carry the oil until you've been crushed by opinion. But oh, when you rise from that crushing, when you finally emerge from the silence of being misread, there will be an authority in your voice that cannot be taught. It can only be endured. So do not run from misunderstanding, chosen one, embrace it. Let it purify your intentions. Let it strip you of the need to please. Let it cleanse your heart from the desire to be known by those who do not have the eyes to see. You will learn that there is power in being hidden, power in being unseen, power in being misunderstood. Because while they are trying to define you, God is designing you. And when His design is revealed, no explanation will be needed. They will see the evidence of His hand upon your life. They will recognize the grace they once dismissed. They will hear the wisdom in the same voice they once ignored. The misunderstood become the unforgettable because their silence was never emptiness, it was incubation. Sometimes God will make sure people misread you, because He knows if they truly saw what He placed in you, they would try to destroy it before it's ready. So take the misunderstanding as divine camouflage. You are hidden not because you are unworthy, but because you are priceless. You are not overlooked, you are being overshadowed by God Himself. And when He removes that covering, when the time is right and the doors swing open, no human explanation will be necessary. The light of your life will do the talking. Your peace will speak of your pruning. Your wisdom will testify of your waiting. Your joy will sing of your surrender. You must learn to love the sacred tension between wanting to be understood and knowing that you never truly will be. Because what lives inside you is not of this world. It's a language of eternity. The divine often sounds like confusion to the carnal. That is why your decisions seem strange, your obedience looks foolish, your vision feels impossible. But faith has never been logical, it has always been radical. You will not find peace trying to make them understand what they were never meant to carry. Instead, you must find peace in knowing that your understanding is anchored in something higher. The chosen are not meant to be relatable, they are meant to be radiant. And when you stop explaining, you will notice how your spirit quiets. The noise around you will still exist, but it will no longer live inside you. The opinions will still echo, but they will no longer pierce. You will stop defending your journey because you will finally realize it was never a debate. It was a destiny. You will start to walk differently, lighter, freer, unburdened by the weight of being misunderstood. You will smile in the face of false judgment, not because it doesn't hurt, but because it no longer holds power. You will know that peace is proof of growth, and silence is proof of strength. Every chosen one must master the art of being misread and still remaining pure. To love without demanding understanding. To forgive without receiving apology. To walk away without bitterness. That is divine maturity. And it comes through the fires of misunderstanding. You may be judged harshly for what they think you are, but you must stand firmly in who you truly are. You must remember that even the Christ Himself was misunderstood by those He came to save. They could not comprehend His mission, so they tried to stop it. But the chosen never need to be understood to be effective. The chosen simply obey, even when obedience costs everything. There is a holiness in holding your peace when you could prove your point. There is a strength in walking away when you could retaliate. There is beauty in remaining silent when the world demands an explanation. Because when you let go of the need to be understood, you open yourself to be used by something far greater. Your silence becomes sacred space for God to speak on your behalf. And when He speaks, it silences every critic, every accuser, every voice that ever doubted your divine assignment. You may feel invisible now, but invisibility is often the cloak of those destined to change everything. So wait quietly. Trust deeply. Keep walking boldly. Let your integrity be louder than your defense. Let your growth be your response. Let your transformation tell the story. Because when all is said and done, you will look back and see that not explaining yourself was never a sign of weakness. It was the sign that you had learned to trust the author of your story more than the audience watching it. You will stand in rooms that once felt unreachable. You will be honored by voices that once dismissed you. You will be celebrated for the same qualities they once criticized. And when that day comes, you will not say, "I told you so." You will simply smile because you will know that explanation was never needed. Only revelation. Every chosen one must walk this sacred path alone for a while. The silence, the confusion, the distance, it all becomes a cocoon. You will emerge not bitter but brighter, not hardened but wiser, not defeated but deeply anchored, because you learned that your value was never in being understood. It was in being chosen. You learned that sometimes silence is the most eloquent testimony of all. You learned that those who truly carry light do not need to prove they shine. They just keep shining. So keep shining, chosen one. Even if they squint, even if they turn away, even if they don't see it yet. Keep shining through your kindness, through your resilience, through your unwavering peace. Keep shining when they question, when they doubt, when they gossip. Keep shining because that is what you were born to do. Light never explains itself to darkness, it simply overcomes it. And one day, when your journey reaches the place where all things make sense, you'll look back at the years you spent trying to be understood, and you'll laugh softly. Not out of mockery, but out of wisdom. You'll laugh because you'll finally understand that the ones who never understood you were never meant to. You'll see that their confusion was a necessary part of your clarity. You'll thank them silently, because their misunderstanding kept you close to the only one who always understood. And in that revelation, you'll find the sweetest freedom of all. The freedom to just be. No explanation, no defense, no performance. Just pure, unshaken, radiant being. You will realize that being misunderstood was never your burden. It was your bridge. It led you to stillness. It led you to surrender. It led you home. And when you reach that place, chosen one, may you never again shrink yourself to be understood. May you never again trade your peace for approval. May you never again explain away the miracle that is you. Just stand, just shine, just be. Because God understands, and that is more than enough. And when you finally learn not to explain yourself, when you finally learn that silence is sometimes the loudest declaration of strength, you will begin to see that you never needed the world's approval to validate your purpose. You never needed them to clap for your courage or nod for your growth. Because the truth, dear heart, is that you were never walking for them. You were walking with destiny. And destiny does not wait for permission. It does not pause for understanding. It does not lower its frequency so that the faint of faith can comprehend its rhythm. It moves in mystery. It moves in divine alignment. It moves through you even when you don't realize it. So, when you feel misunderstood, when you feel like your light is being questioned or dimmed by those who cannot comprehend its brilliance, I want you to stand taller. Stand taller because you were chosen to walk where others fear to step. You were chosen to hold wisdom that others can't yet recognize. You were chosen to carry a vision that lives beyond their understanding, and that is not arrogance. It's assignment. It's the quiet fire of divine purpose burning in your chest, reminding you that what God planted in you was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be lived. Let them question. Let them whisper. Let them think you've lost your way when in truth, you've only begun to find it. Let them roll their eyes at your dreams. Because sometimes their disbelief is the wind that helps your wings remember why they were made. And while they're talking, you'll be walking. Walking through storms that sharpen your discernment. Walking through fires that refine your spirit. Walking through valleys that teach your feet how to dance on holy ground. Every misunderstanding becomes a mirror, showing you who you are not. Every rejection becomes a revelation, teaching you who you've always been. Every silence becomes a sacred pause, reminding you that you don't have to explain divine movement to human minds. You see, the ones who cannot understand you are often the ones who have never met themselves. They've never stood alone long enough to hear the voice of their own soul.